At Healthcare Partners Medical Group, our mission is to provide the highest quality of healthcare to each and every patient. With 5 locations in Pahrump, we are local doctors you know and trust. We want to thank you for choosing us. Quality care starts here.
You're watching KPVM News 46. Weekend Review. With Deanna O'Donnell. And Jason Koblenz.
Welcome to News 46's Weekend Review, your #1 source for local news. We hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
And I'm Jason Koblenz.
Daniel Robbins has been convicted of the murder of 21-year-old Christopher Mundy and the aggravated assault of teenager Pablo Flores. Last week, jurors quickly returned a guilty verdict on all counts in connection with the August 18, 2011 shooting on Benson Circle.
Verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant Daniel Robbins as follows. Count 1, murder with the use of deadly weapon. Guilty of second-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Count 2, battery with use of a deadly weapon. Guilty of battery with use of a deadly weapon. Count 3, battery causing substantial bodily harm. Guilty of battery causing substantial bodily harm. Count 4, assault with a deadly weapon. Guilty of assault with a deadly weapon. Count 5, assault with a deadly weapon. Guilty of assault with a deadly weapon. Dated this 20th day of November, 2012, Kimberly A. Lynch, foreperson. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is this your correct verdict as read?
Yes. The defense were claiming an accidental shooting and self-defense, something that even Judge Robert Lane said he struggled with. The Robbins family was visibly upset when the verdict was read. The Mundy family appeared to be elated, though Chris will never come back. They believe justice was served. Deputies escorted the jurors out of the courthouse after the verdict was read. Robbins is expected to get as much as life in prison when he is sentenced on February 11th of next year. He will likely face a minimum of 10 years in prison for just the murder charge, with an enhancement for use of a deadly weapon. 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon and battery with a deadly weapon. The sentence could be as much as 24 years to life. Daniel Robbins gave very little expression when he was sentenced for the crimes. One of the moments that stands out in the minds of all that were there in the courtroom was the final photo of the victim, 21-year-old Christopher Mundy, looking like his hands just fell off the steering wheel, with his head slouched over, bloodied from the wound to his neck. A life is forever lost, and many lives will never be the same. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46.
Keep fighting, Dad. It's not over. It's not over.
A 21-year-old man was run over by a vehicle this last week on Sparky Street off Mesquite and Banovich. Mercier transported the trauma patient to University Medical Center in Las Vegas. News 46 spoke to Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue Chief Scott Lewis.
Yeah, so initial report of a pedestrian motor vehicle accident ended up being a very serious accident where a 21-year-old individual was run over by a car. Quick assessment of the crews determined that that person needed flight to get to a trauma center. We established an LZ. We moved the LZ just a little bit further away from the scene only because the immediate area wasn't conducive to a good, safe landing. So we went actually to the very west end of Mesquite, Macadam Road, established the LZ. Mercier 21 came in, we transferred patient care, and that patient was subsequently flown to trauma.
Could you tell if these were life-threatening injuries? Or?
Anytime we send a patient by flight, there's every probability that there's life-threatening emergency.
And then also, from the driver's perspective, was there any drugs or alcohol involved?
Not that I'm aware of. However, that is an issue actually being investigated by the Sheriff's Office.
3 vehicles collided last week on Highway 160 and Basin Avenue. The accident resulted in 1 injured person who was transported from the scene to our local hospital. Last night, approximately 5:30, a 3-vehicle accident here on Basin and Highway 160. Nevada Highway Patrol arrived on scene along with Nye County Sheriff's deputies and Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue to find all 3 vehicles here in the roadway. Animal Control helped block traffic in the eastward direction of Basin Avenue. 1 person was injured and transported to Desert View Hospital by Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue. Nevada Highway Patrol is conducting this investigation. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46.
Well, folks, black smoke filled the air this last week as a fifth-wheel motorhome caught fire near a residence at Blagg and Leffner Street.
Around 8:30 this morning, a motorhome caught fire on the corner of Blagg and Leffner Streets. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene along with Nye County Sheriff's deputies to find that the motorhome had a large amount of smoke and flames coming from it. At first, it was reported that the sofa actually caught fire inside this fifth wheel, which was in close proximity to a shed and a home on the property. No one was injured in this fire. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue were able to extinguish the blaze with no further extensions. The fire appears to be accidental. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. And Fire Chief Scott Lewis gives an update on that structure fire that occurred last week, that motorhome that we were just telling you about on Blagg and Leffner Street. The chief also gives some very important lessons on how to avoid this from happening to your family.
The cause of that particular fire that we're going to be discussing, the proximal cause, was in fact the improper use of space heaters within the structure. But specifically, we were dispatched a report of a couch fire. Upon our arrival, Tender 5's crew found a heavy smoke condition presenting from a fifth-wheel trailer that was actually being used as a fixed structure. Their quick, aggressive interior attack knocked down the main body of fire, prevented any further damage to that particular structure and also the nearby exposures. But it gave us a great opportunity today, and that is to reinforce the issues regarding safe use of space heaters, because it allowed us to protect the evidence, if you will, as to how that fire began today. Specifically, 2 space heaters plugged into a common extension cord. Both were placed on the high position, high wattage going through both. The size of the extension cord did not allow for that type of transmission of energy. In addition to that, an insulating blanket had been placed on top of that area of the wiring, which then trapped that heat and then subsequently ignited the nearby ordinary combustibles, thus the fire.
All right, what would you suggest that we do to prevent things like this from happening?
One of the biggest things we can do is safe operation of any space heater is, number one, make sure you're plugging them into an approved and safe UL-related receptacle. Never use extension cords. Never place multiple space heaters into the same electrical source. Keep them away from ordinary combustible material so it doesn't ignite that material. And always, but always, turn them off and unplug them when not in attendance with them.
Do these heaters have like an age factor where, after so many years that, you shouldn't really be, still using them?
It really depends on the type of model you purchase. One of the best things you can do is you can go onto the web and you can see which models have been causing fires throughout the country. There's specific websites for the different types. If it's an oil-filled unit or if it's an exposed radiant heat type, you can go in and see if those particular models that you may have are either recalled or have had fire history.
The Department of Motor Vehicles is warning Nevadans about a telephone sales pitch now circulating in Nevada. Callers sometimes say that DMV records indicate the motorist is overpaying on insurance. At other times, callers have identified themselves as DMV employees. The callers offer discounted auto insurance and ask for the information about the motorist's vehicles. The Department of Motor Vehicles wants you to know that they will never call and ask for your personal information, and your insurance records are strictly confidential. The DMV does not release insurance information to any third party. Often the caller will leave a message with a return phone number 775-473-1342. Other numbers have been reported. The DMV advises motorists to be aware that these calls are not endorsed by the department in any way. Motorists should not give their personal information over the telephone unless they are sure they are dealing with a legitimate company. The Nevada Division of Insurance encourages consumers to verify whether an insurance agent or company is legitimate. The Nevada License Inquiry Service is available at 888-872-3234 or on the division's website.
And as we head into our first break, here's Mr. Movie Phone with what's happening at the movies this holiday weekend.
I'm Mr. Movie Phone, looking to gobble up some Thanksgiving movies? Then stay tuned for my weekend movie preview next.